Hey guys, today I wanted to do a video about books, and I don't know, maybe I'll mention some movies or TV series at the end, we'll see, but mainly today we're going to talk about books because I love them and I hope you love them too. So I have read quite a lot in February, basically because I was traveling a lot and I had a lot of time, so I listened to some audiobooks, I read some physical books, and I wanted to share that with you. The first thing I wanted to talk about today is Fahrenheit 451, which I listened to an audiobook. I don't have it here to show you because I got it from the library, but this was a very good audiobook. It was like the first real one that I ever listened to, apart from something else that I've listened to. No, that's not true. And I don't even remember whether I've talked about it before, but it was just a very good experience. I think this is my favorite book that I've read so far this year, which says a lot. So this is the story about a firefighter, but in this like future time, firefighters don't fight the fire, they fight with fire. And they fight books because in this future time the books are a way to spread inequity. Is that what you call it? Like, because some people can get smarter than others and they don't want that. The society wants everyone to be equal, and so they destroy books. And then one day this one firefighter, I think his name is Montag, at least in the German version, he goes home and he meets a girl. And this girl is very different from anything he has seen before, anyone he has met before, and he's intrigued. And so they develop this really weird kind of friendship, and he starts to think more and more about how his society is all a little bit strange and weird. I really loved this audiobook. It was the German version and it was really easy to listen to and very interesting, and just, I don't know, I really liked it. And I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. It has a lot of similarities to George Orwell's 1984, but for me I like this book a little bit better, even though both books have their issues at the end. I feel like the beginnings are very strong, but then they just don't really wrap up nicely. But yeah, I had lesser issues with this one than I had with the end of 1984. So if you like one of these, you probably enjoy the other one as well. Staying with the audiobooks, I also listened to Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone, depending on where you live. I listened to the German version and I didn't really love this. It was nice because it kind of kept my head off thinking, but I much prefer reading it myself. I don't know, maybe it's just that I don't like to listen to stories that I've heard before, that I've read before in that case. So I gave this audiobook around 3 stars. I just didn't like how it was read. I felt like the reader, he was a little bit too old, or his voice felt a little bit too old to read a children's book, because this is just one narrator and he speaks all the characters, and I didn't feel this one. So I would rather just read the normal book. And then maybe we're talking about the last audiobook that I've just recently finished, and that is Every Day by David Levithan. Again, I listened to the German version, which is Letztendlich sind wir dem Universum egal. This one was very enjoyable. I liked it from the first minute, to say so. I think it has super interesting characters. This is about which is like a ghost, and he wakes up every day in a different body. So he never knows who he's going to be the next day, but he knows that it's probably going to be another human quite close to the one he was before, because he doesn't do like huge jumps in, places or countries or stuff like that, but it's always a different person and he's never been the same person twice. and that really doesn't bother him or her too much. This A doesn't really have a gender identity, which I thought was very interesting, because he can be in a boy's body, he can be in a girl's body, he's also in a transgender body, so he just has to work with what he's got. And also he didn't have like this socialization that he thinks he's a boy and that he has to behave in a certain way, so he doesn't have any gender identity in that sense. And he's also interested in any person, like if he falls in love, it doesn't matter if it's a gay person, a boy, a girl, straight person, whatever. He really doesn't care, because he just falls for the person and not for the gender or anything like that. So I found this very interesting. I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't have the same sensitivity when it came to other topics and other discriminational things. Especially with the overweight, which is something that I work with. So at work I spend my time researching the discrimination of overweight people, and that was handled very badly in this book. That was just one little chapter, but it still really bothered me because it was so sensitive with all the other topics, and then this one was like bam, and it just showed me why I'm studying this, because, you know, it's really important. But other than that, I enjoyed the story. The love story was really the main point of this, and it was very cute. I liked Rhiannon, but I think she has some issues as well. Like, she's sometimes a little bit homophobic, but some of her problems also seemed like realistic, and it wasn't like you couldn't understand it, but it was just like, oh girl, just get over it, kind of. But other things were like really dramatic, and you were like, yeah, well, it's absolutely reasonable how she reacts. So I did enjoy this. I gave this, I think, 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, now let's talk about the books, like the real books. I want to start out with this one. I think I've mentioned this before. This is Lecky. I just really can't say the English title. Ancillary Justice. The German title is Die Maschine. And this is a science fiction novel all about an artificial intelligence, that's what you call it. And she was a spaceship, but that kind of got destroyed. It's very difficult to explain this book. It has so many layers, so many things, but it's mainly like a very feminist sci-fi story. And all the characters in this book are referred to as she, so even though you know that someone is a man, it's still she in the book, and all the like words are very feminine, like all the names and stuff like that. So you most of the time don't know the gender of the person that you're reading about, which I found at first very difficult, but it grew on me and I enjoyed it in the end. But it's difficult. Like, this is a huge book, by the way. This is not something that you sit down and read in one go and you're like amazed. This takes a little bit of time. Also, there's different timelines and different people, and you just have to understand like what's going on, who is who and who wants what and stuff like that. So this is mainly setup, but the end was very intriguing, so I think I will pick up the second book. But I feel like I need a little bit of time before I do that, and also I'm definitely going to read this series in German because it was difficult enough. So that's that. I think I gave this one 3.5 stars. Yes, I did. And then I read this. This is by Diane Ackermann. The English title is The Zookeeper's Wife, German title Die Frau des Zoodirektors. And this is it's not really fiction, it's very hard to explain. There's a movie coming out about this book, or based on this book, and so I wanted to see what it's all about. This is set in Warsaw in the 1930s and 1940s, so during the Second World War, when the Germans tried to conquer Poland. And this is about the director of the zoo and his wife, who were very active in all the like underground like the people that tried to stop the Nazis and stuff like that. They were very active with that. They tried to save the life of Jews and other people, and they hid them in the zoo and stuff like that. So it's very much about how they struggled against the Nazi regime. And then also, this is not really fiction, because I feel like it references a lot of things that are really history, and this is based on the true history of the Warsaw Zoo. So yeah, I wouldn't say this is fiction, but it's not non-fiction either. It's somewhere in between, but it's very well done. It had me crying, and yeah, I was just really into the story, but it's not really a story. So you just learn a lot by reading this, and it's still very enjoyable. It's very easy to understand, and I would highly recommend it. I think I gave this one 4 stars as well. And then the last book I've read is Sufficient Grace by Amy Aspedath or something like that. I don't know how to say that name. But this book I got in the Moth box of February, and I told myself I wouldn't get the next Moth box, except that I've read both of these. I have not, and I ordered the other one, the new one still. So yeah, but this is the story of 2 girls that live in a Christian community. It's mainly about Ruth and a little bit about her cousin Naomi. But Naomi is an adopted child, and she is Indian. And Naomi has a brother, and Ruth also has a bigger brother. And this is about how they're all tangled up in their family. And this family is very cold, very dark. It has secrets, it has a lot of secrets. And it just shows you the flaws of that family. It's a very cold book to read, like also it's set in winter time, and it has a lot of descriptions about nature and stuff like that. So the whole atmosphere is great, it's very well done, but it's very dark and it's very cold. So if you like books about like these family secrets that are slowly revealed and set in a Christian community, and I think it still handled it quite nicely. It's just a book that shows that even if you're a Christian, even if you believe in God, you can still sin. And it's always interesting for me to read from a perspective of someone who believes in God and believes in sin, because I don't, but I feel like you learn a lot from it. So that was very interesting, and I also gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It dragged on a little bit. It was sometimes quite hard to understand since it is English and I'm not a native speaker. There are just some words that, you know, I don't know, like especially when it comes to hunting or fishing, stuff like that. Certain animals, I just don't know the words. So this was a little bit difficult for me, but I felt like as the story progressed, that got easier. Still, there were a couple of bits where I wasn't sure whether I got it right or whether that just meant something else, but it was usually explained later on again, so I was like, oh okay, I got it right. But yeah, that's that book. The writing is beautiful, but very difficult if you're not a native speaker. So these were all the books I wanted to talk about. Now I wanted to show you what I'm kind of currently reading. This is kind of a cheat because I just finished it, but I will talk about this hopefully in March. This is The Wicked Will Rise, and I want to read the whole series in March of the Dorothy Must Die series, and I'll see whether I can do that because the last book comes out in March. Then I'm currently reading The Circle by Dave Eggers. There's also a movie coming out for this one, and I really wanted to read it because the trailers looked so good. This is about a company that is kind of like if Apple, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, and what else is there? If that was all one company, that would be The Circle. And it's very disturbing. I'm about halfway through, and yeah, it's super disturbing so far. But yeah, I really want to see the movie as well. Then I quickly wanted to show you 2 books that I've got since my collective haul. One of these is the 3rd book in the Dorothy Must Die series, Yellow Brick War, and the other one is Homegoing by Yagyazi. I'm so bad with names, I'm sorry, but I got this from a German YouTube friend. She does booktube videos in English. I will link the channel down below and probably in the little card somewhere. But yeah, she didn't like this and she didn't finish it, and I was like, hey, can we just exchange it? I showed her some books that I wanted to get rid of, and so we did a little bit of a swap, and now I've got this and I'm really intrigued because she didn't like it. It's even more intriguing. So then we finished 2 TV series this month. I just want to quickly mention them. The first one is Hemlock Grove. We finally finished that one. It was really dragging us down. I just didn't like it. I don't know. It just started off interesting, but you never knew what was going on, and that kept getting old in the end. So that was a weird series. I really liked the actors. I really liked the characters, but just the storyline was just all over the place and I don't know what happened there. So yeah, that wasn't too great and I wouldn't recommend it. But then we watched the first season of a series of unfortunate events. I haven't read the books, I didn't even know about them before BookTube, but I loved this first season. It was so good, it was so good. Like the final song, it's just so good, and I want the second season like right now. So good. So we're not quite sure what we're going to watch next. I would like to watch Pushing Daisies again because it has a very similar appearance, or I don't know, it's very similar style. But yeah, that is not available on Netflix, which is kind of disappointing, and it's not available on Amazon Prime either, which is super disappointing. So I don't know about that. But yeah, that would be the TV shows. We haven't really been to the movies, I think. No. We still try to watch La La Land, but we just don't have any time. So yeah, that's the sad story. So this would be all for this video. This is probably super long and I'm so sorry, but I've just read a lot and I wanted to talk about it. So I hope you have a great day and I will talk to you soon. Bye!